And now let's bring you an update on today's Africa Cup of Nations quarter-final. And Burkina Faso has defeated Tunisia 1-0 to progress to the semi-final thanks to a goal from Dango Ouattara. Earlier, hosts Cameroon booked their spot in the semis after a double from Karl Toko Ekambi fired them to a 2-0 victory over Gambia. Well, France 24 sports editor James Vasina followed the action for us. So he's speaking to us over the phone from Douala. James, a shock tonight. Tunisia eliminated from the Africa Cup of Nations.
Julia, definitely. I mean, we wouldn't have expected them to perhaps leave at this point. They bow out against Burkina Faso. Burkina Faso, who managed to get that goal just at the end of the first half that you mentioned there. Ouattara opening the score for his team. Now, it's also all the more surprising for Tunisia because they come into this after beating Nigeria. That was already a shock, actually beating one of the powerhouses of African football here. But then to lose against Burkina Faso would have been probably less likely, we'd have thought so, but and that will make it an even harder thing for them to be able just to come across and accept in a way, because they had this advantage coming into it. But when we do consider both things, is that both Burkina Faso and Tunisia come to this having lost their opening games in the tournament, so perhaps not quite the size that they were at one point. So we know they had COVID outbreaks within their squads, and for Tunisia, well, it's a team mainly built around one of their main men, Khazri, who was out for a while. He was back with them today, but that wasn't quite enough for them. On Burkina Faso's side, all the best for them, since Bertrand Traoré on his side was unavailable due to injury. But this means that Burkina Faso do go through to the semis. They'll be facing either Senegal or Equatorial Guinea. Those two sides will be going head-to-head for their space in that semi-final. That'll be tomorrow on Sunday.
And earlier, of course, today, Cameroon, the hosts, were the first team to reach the semi-finals.
Yeah. Well, everyone, of course, overwhelmed with joy over here. A big step for them, and it has to be said that it was very well deserved. They were very dominant in their performance, but on their side, the Gambia also looked pretty strong, especially in the first half. Whilst Cameroon were digging pushing very, very far. Collins Faye blasted a shot, just not managing to get that first one in for them before Abubakar then had a try with a header. But Boubacar Gueye, the Gambia's goalkeeper, made a massive save in the 35th minute. And at that point, it really felt like perhaps the Gambia was going to be able to hold on to this, because the Gambia making their first ever appearance in the tournament. They've been getting through to the quarterfinals thanks to a very strong defensive side. They'd only let one goal in before today, and that was against Mali. But today, for them, it was just not the same. It was too much of a challenge for them. Karl Toko Ekambi, as you mentioned there, slotting that first opening goal for them, and then doubling it for them just a few minutes later after the Gambia's coach, Tom St. Pete, made some very daring changes. He tried to change around the system and tried to bring on a more attacking team, but unfortunately those hopes were all gone. After the game, he told us that the whole time he was realistic of what happened, but today Cameroon was just a little bit too strong for them. But for Gambia, it still is a big success. They get this far on their first ever tournament. A huge surprise for the team, for the country as well, and they'll definitely be cherishing this. But for Cameroon, it continues. Perhaps they're going to be able to bring this trophy back to the country as they try to fight for it on home soil. But this will all depend on who they face. This will be in their semi-final, as Egypt and Morocco will be trying to book their spots against them in that semi.
Okay, James Vasina, we'll have to see if Cameroon can go all the way. Thank you very much for that update there from Douala in Cameroon.